Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2026 mod career mode. This is episode number 2 for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the opening round of this career season down under in Australia, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one kicking off a new era. Always a little bit nervy, and it was nervy times for our teammate Pierre Gasly, who hardly got off the line from pole position. He had to make up places in that race, and for us it was a decent start, but we are faced with our first engine development hurdle, of course, by building our own engine. We have these little problems to deal with, and one of them was an overheating ICE in the last race. And although we were sitting pretty for a podium, of course you'll be able to see from these highlight clips a plume of smoke coming out of the back of our car, and that was just never going to end well, and it actually ended even worse than I could have imagined, as we had to retire from the race. And whilst we did that, we took out our own teammate because my car's gearbox seized up, shunted into a wall. So it's 0 points on the board for AAR Lamborghini, whereas McLaren continue from last season to be one of the quickest cars on the grid, winning the race. It wasn't the reigning world champion though, Oscar Piastri. It was Liam Lawson, first time in a top team, and he wins the opening round. Very impressive. And for us, it seems like the bad times just keep on continuing, because we've got a development failure of that final rear downforce upgrade, the ultimate upgrade. So we're gonna have to go ahead and repurchase that, so we don't have a maxed out aero. At least one thing that we are going to solve, and one thing that will come through on this car, is sorting out this first engine development hurdle, the overheating ICE. We've spent $2 million and 500 resource points to purchase, fund, and research the necessary things to fix that overheating ICE. So we're going to jump over that first hurdle. That will be in the past. So that smoking engine hopefully will not be happening ever again this season. I mean, of course, there could be just a random engine failure, like, you know, from the in-game mechanics. But when it comes to our 2026 engine building mod added gameplay to this season, that part, that little concern, is we're over it. Spending those 500 R&D points though now on that first development hurdle does mean we're gonna have to wait a little longer to repurchase that ultimate rear downforce upgrade. Thankfully though, the chassis brake upgrade I did buy and the durability upgrade have come through, so there is a slight improvement in the R&D chart for us going into the second round in Las Vegas. But at the moment things are obviously a bit slow paced. We've just come out of a massive regulation change, so every team is still winding up R&D points and investment, I'm sure. And soon enough, I think once we get to the European portion of the season after round 3, I think we're going to really get into some proper rapid upgrades. And I hope so, for especially the bottom teams over there that saved so much, you know, R&D last season. We haven't really seen too much from that. I still have some hope and suspicions that one of these teams at the bottom is just going to skyrocket with some R&D at some point this season, but we're going to have to just wait and see. But in the middle of the Las Vegas Grand Prix weekend, having done practice programs, we can repurchase that ultimate rear downforce upgrade. I had my eye on maybe the final brake upgrade, but I actually had to go ahead and repurchase a durability upgrade on the gearbox. And speaking of the gearbox, that may be the next engine development hurdle that we have to get over then. And, you know, to be fair, in the first round, you maybe saw that shocking start for Pierre Gasly and some general slow pace for him in the start of the race. He maybe had those gearbox issues in the first round. You know, these different kind of problems and hurdles, they can crop up for either one of our cars at any time. So whilst I was having the overheating ICE, I think Gasly was having some problems with his gearbox. And of course, we had a problem with our gearbox because it seized up so dramatically when my engine failed, to the point where I crashed into that wall and took out Gasly with me. So maybe we've experienced it as well ourselves, but that won't come until the race, of course. Right now, just over one lap, trying to maximize the new engine power we've got with this Lamborghini collaboration in the back of our car, and seeing what the pace is like. I assume McLaren and Red Bull will be on point though. Both those cars have been super good in a straight line, especially out of corners. The acceleration has been pretty nuts for both teams, and like I said, not a shock horror, Lando Norris tops the session, but close behind are two McLarens. But myself and Gasly are up there, P4 and 6, which is pretty decent. The Ferraris look a lot stronger in Q1 here at Las Vegas then. P7 and 8 for Schumacher and Verstappen, and one of the Audis gets through with Carlos Sainz. One of them knocked out this time compared to in Australia. But yeah, Ferrari looking a lot better here. So maybe they've actually got some decent engine power behind them in this new era of Formula 1. It's really just the rest of the car, chassis and aero, that the Scuderia are having to sort out, and Las Vegas might be an advantage for them as we go through into Q3, having set just one lap time in the second part of qualifying, and that's going to get us through, but it's damn close. I mean, only 0.2 of a second cover the top 5, 2 McLarens, 1 Red Bull, and both of us AAR Lamborghinis. Fernando Alonso a little bit off the pace in P6, but both Alpines are through into the top 10 shootout. 1 Merc, 1 Aston Martin. Bit surprising. Again, Alpine showing that they are the real deal. Both getting into the top 10 shootout. Ferrari can't continue the good work they did in Q1, and they fall out of qualifying at this time round. And Russell maybe getting to grips with the Mercedes a bit quicker than his new teammate Leclerc as he gets that silver arrow into the top 10 for the first time this season. They both had the really disappointing first opening round. I really pegged Mercedes. I thought Mercedes were going to be where Alpine are currently, going off how quick Mercedes ended last season, you know, getting a few pole positions, looking a bit menacing sometimes in the race. So, yeah, that's been a surprise, and I guess that's what you get with a big regulation change to the engine and a whole, you know, new crop of cars and driver transfers. You know, some drivers still getting used to their new outfits. And I think it's safe to say that's making a difference here, because our teammate who is used to this car has been in this team now for over a season. Pierre Gasly looking comfy in provisional pole position right now in the top 10 shootout. Piastri second place. We're up in third on the second row at least, alongside Fernando Alonso. Gasly remains in P1. Can we do anything to knock on the door for the front row? No, it's a minor improvement, but look at that unreal pace from the Frenchman. 5.5 tenths quicker than myself. He's 3.7 tenths quicker than Oscar Piastri in the McLaren, the reigning champ. Incredible stuff from Gasly, clearly comfortable. I mean, you know, it's back-to-back pole positions from Australia to Las Vegas. That's a bit ominous, but obviously couldn't convert that in the first round. Can Gasly convert this second pole of the season to a race win finally? And can we, as a team, kickstart our season with getting some actual points on the board, I hope? Let's find out. Let's go to the grid for round number 2 of this 2026 season. Even though there's some disappointment being, you know, 5.5 tenths off my teammate, and again, you know, it's echoing a few qualifyings from last season where I just literally have no answer for how quick Gasly has been sometimes in this My Team car of ours. It is pretty promising. You know, reliability issues aside, we clearly have a car that can actually challenge. It's maybe weird to say because, of course, we enter this season as the reigning Constructors champions, you know, so technically our car last season was a car that could challenge, but neither of us was in the Drivers' Championship fight, and that ultimately speaks to the fact that we were just a consistent unit as a pairing. But when it came to actually getting the higher positions consistently, both myself and Gasly didn't have that car to get those multiple podiums, maybe a few more race wins, to actually be in the title fight with Piastri and Verstappen last season in 2025. So the difference is hopefully this year, if we can iron out these reliability problems, then we could be there. And, you know, one of them came a crop in the first race. We've hopefully got past that one. We're P1 and P3 for round number 2. Let's see how we do this time as we go to 5 red lights. The Las Vegas Grand Prix underway. Gasly slow again. We've got a good start, but as we go for the move on Piastri, our car's been stuck in second gear. We've got a jammed gearbox. It's the second development hurdle, and it's come and slapped us in the face immediately. We've sorted out the overheating ICE, but now we've got gearbox sync issues. Our gearbox is jammed in second gear. No matter how much I click my shifter on my wheel, this gearbox is not going past second, and we're down to last place. On the opening lap, we've gone from the second row, third place, down to stone dead last, and I'm still in second gear, so we've lost multiple seconds to the next car. Only now, through past the sphere here in Sector 2, have we got the gearbox back It was a temporary jam. Unbelievable. 6.5 seconds off Felipe Drugovich in the Alfa Romeo Haas, and that is just for P21. So we've got a long old night here in Las Vegas to try and recover. We know we've got a car to do so, but we've just got to get our head down and try and bridge, well, first and foremost, just that immediate gap to the actual pack where Drugovich and Pourchaire are tail ending it. I've said many times, you know, in this series, in past series with Formula 1, you can never say never, and you've just got to get your head down and see what the race can bring. You know, one red flag, one safety car could bring us back into this race. But right now, we're looking to try and close up at, well, this very pack here, the bottom end. Pourchaire versus Logan Sargent and Felipe Drugovich. Andretti versus Audi versus Alfa Romeo Haas. And just ahead, we've got a few other teams, Aston Martin and Williams included. But this is a replay then of lap 1. This is our teammate, Pierre Gasly. He had another shocking getaway from pole position, but he makes up for it straight away. He's chosen the soft compound of tyre, interestingly, compared to Piastri and others on mediums, but Gasly, using the softs to good effect, gets up into P1 and leads the way. So at least one thing's going right for one of our cars, as we've just seen our first overtake of the race on Hulkenberg, who was in the pit lane as we went on to lap number 3, and we might get our second overtake of the day here, because we finally closed up to the Andretti of Logan Sargent. The homeboy is going to actually defend this quite well, though. He makes it very awkward, putting his car right in the middle of the circuit. And to be honest, after such a bad lap 1, even though I'm desperate, I don't want to make any foolish moves. So we wait to make the move instead here, just before the main straight, because that previous corner at the Sphere, it's so easy to get pinched in compared to somewhere else on circuit. And I'm determined to try and recover in this race. And to do so, we need to have a car that has no damage. So even though I want to take all the risks in the world, having had the lap 1 I had, I also don't want to take a risk that is unnecessary and that is going to make our situation worse. So to that effect, easy does it. Inches away from having a howler there with the wall on the left-hand side as our rear end got away from us. But we make the double pass on Felipe Drugovich and Sergio Perez, the Alfa Romeo Haas, and the second Andretti of the night. And now we're getting on to the second Alfa Romeo Haas of the night. Valtteri Bottas up ahead is Théo Pourchaire in the Audi, not looking as great as he maybe was in the opening round. Maybe Audi suffering a little bit in a straight line. We don't know. I mean, I don't know where Carlos Sainz is in all of this, but we're going to shoot past both of them, showcasing that when it works, this Lamborghini power unit is not too shabby, you know. We haven't unlocked the full potential of it, remember, because with those development hurdles, the last two, they're not really hurdles per se, they're kind of more extra development that we get for building our own engine, is unlocking even further fuel efficiency and extra MGK power, so this engine can get even better. And this is why it's even more frustrating that we had that gear jam on lap 1, because honestly, I was ready for a fight for first place with our teammate, probably most likely it would have been, as we now send it down the inside of 2 cars, just through on the left to right, outside of the Sphere, and we get up into P14. That was pretty silky smooth there. That was satisfying. And we're getting into now a groove, I feel, with this circuit, and just getting through the positions and bridging those gaps when we get the clean air. And speaking of, well, bridging that gap, Piastri bridging the gap to Pierre Gasly and actually overtaking him for first place in this race. Early on, though, so long to go. And I feel like with the main straight being as long as it is, those guys are just going to swap positions left, right, and centre. And meanwhile, Alonso is leading a train of Norris and Lawson, then a bit of a gap to Ocon, and you've got the 2 Ferraris getting in the mixer with Russell and Albon there. So Ferrari definitely looking a lot better at this race than they did last time out. Mercedes about the same kind of area they were. As you can see, we're wringing the neck out of this car, drifting it through some of the slow speed corners, and the same can be said for Pierre Gasly, who goes from right to left. He fakes Piastri, and he's going to go round the outside. A little bit of contact between the first 2 race leaders here in Las Vegas, but Gasly keeps keeps committed on the inside, but Piastri says no. I still want to keep first place. Gets the nose in. They're still side by side, and only just will Pierre Gasly get back ahead for first place just through that slower left-hander. But great squabbling going on at this sequence, it would seem, because Schumacher and Russell are now side by side. Two former Mercedes teammates last season, of course. Schumacher left for new pastures green with Ferrari, but Russell getting the better of him at the moment, up into P9. Meanwhile, further ahead, Verstappen flying quite well with Ferrari ahead of Alexander Albon and trying to keep up with Esteban Ocon in the improved Alpine. You got the two Red Bulls swapping position. If they work together a little bit, to be honest, they could bridge the gap to Gasly and Piastri as they once again swap positions for first and second place. You know, they just use a bit of DRS training with each other. I think they could make it a four-way fight for the race win, maybe in five if Liam Lawson wants to pick up the pace, struggling a little bit more here at Las Vegas compared to Australia as we go for the double pass on Ricciardo, on Carlos Sainz, the Audi and the Alpine. Carlos Sainz, though, puts up a bit of a fight through the left-hander, and we get oh so close to making contact, but ultimately don't, and we're up into P12. So slowly but surely, we could be in to the points eventually before the first round of pit stops, which will be pretty damn decent to say we were so far back on lap 1, as we once again see the Red Bull squabbling, and they've done the exact opposite of what I said they should be doing there. They're fighting, and they've lost a second to the two race leaders, and they've actually lost so much time that now Liam Lawson is on their back end, and it looks like neither of them is going to let up in terms of fighting each other, because Fernando Alonso pulls out to the inside. Oi, oi, oi. That is going to be a very, very good move if he makes it stick. I mean, he's still trying to finish it off in the exit as Lando gets back ahead into P3, but this is, you know, this is exactly why Verstappen left Red Bull at the end of last season, because of the infighting and a new teammate for Lando Norris, and nothing's changed, and now this infighting has allowed Liam Lawson to come through. He gets squeezed out by Alonso on the left, so he has to go to the right, again has to move from right to left. He's trying to suss out which direction to get Fernando Alonso in, but ultimately damage has already been done. They've gone from 3-4 to 3-5, and now it could be 4-5. Lawson on the inside, powering through on the quicker compound of tyre. Actually, he's on the softs, and he's not really made the most of it quite yet in this race, but now he has, as he gets past both Red Bull Fords, who, well, they're just too busy fighting each other. They've just done themselves some disservice there. They've literally just lost that position because they were too busy fighting each other, which is, yeah, like I said, exactly why Verstappen left. So clearly those problems have not been solved this season with signing Fernando Alonso. Were they ever going to really? Probably not. As we now look through the racing order, it's still Ocon ahead of Albon, who's actually got ahead of Verstappen then, sorry, and Schumacher has got back past George Russell and is ahead of both Silver Arrows. And if you can see right there behind, I'm only 2 seconds off Leclerc, and 2 laps later we're now underneath the Mercedes rear wing and looking to try and maybe slide this down the inside, catch Leclerc napping a little bit. It's going to be oh so close over the curb. Little bit of tyre banging necessary to get through into P11, and now we have DRS off the 2 ahead of us to try and stay ahead of Leclerc, and also then try and set up a move maybe on one of them in the next lap, because Schumacher down to P10, George Russell back ahead in P9 as our engine screams away, and that very low rev limiter with this latest era of cars, really a bit too low for these screaming V10s that we've got in the back of these cars as the tyre wear kicks in. But right now we're still in a groove, and we're going to go ahead and overtake Mick Schumacher. A little bit feisty on the exit, Mick, but we do get it done, and now we're closing up to Russell, and look who's come out the pits just behind us. Pierre Gasly. He's 1 whole pit stop ahead of us, showing how much damage that jammed gear did to us. But we're going to try and overtake Russell, and maybe Gasly may just follow us through for this overtake as we're up into P6 now, and Gasly gets right up behind us in the mirrors there, and he's actually going to try and use us as a bit of a tow to get that move done on Russell. But then to my surprise, he just absolutely sends me. I was not ready for that. I didn't leave the door open. That was just me trying to make the corner. It's a very difficult blind left-hander, I will admit, and one that I rarely get completely correct. But still, I was so gobsmacked by the fact that Gasly sent it that aggressively on the inside there. The supreme, look at that, the supreme confidence this man has in this car. You know, clearly not letting the opening round disappointment get to him. As we now come in for our one and only pit stop of the day. And as we come in, look at the bottom there. It's another gearbox jam. A second of the day. I mean, we get bloody lucky it's in the pit lane because this could have been so much worse, but it's still going to hamper us because we're going so slow down the pit lane that we're holding up Russell, and I feel like he's going to overtake us because look how slow we're crawling. This is not the normal pace you should be going down this Las Vegas pit lane, so the gear gam has slowed us up there. As we come out of the pit box, is it still going to be jammed as we come out? I don't think so. I think we've got gears. Yes, we do. We do have a gearbox back. That was actually unbelievable timing. That could have been so much worse. If I continued on, or I'd come in a lap earlier, that gear gam would have happened literally in the middle of this race, and it would have been basically undone all the work I just did. And to be honest, it has undone some work because I had to re-overtake an Audi just then, and now I have to go chasing after Russell once again to re-overtake him, to re-overtake Leclerc, so I've still lost some time there. So for the second time, the gearbox has caused us issues today as Lando Norris pits, Alonso continuing on. I don't think Alonso's pit yet, so the two Red Bull Fords going for a bit of a long first stint. I don't know if it's actually going to be beneficial for them because Gasly, who has made his first pit stop, just waltzes past Fernando Alonso to retake the lead of the race. Alonso down to second and still having to make that stop, so we'll see where they come out relative to the McLarens and see what kind of pace they have, maybe on fresher tyres. Meanwhile, in our world, back to our POV, lap 15, P12, setting the fast lap of the Grand Prix though, on these obviously very favourite hard tyres of ours on the My Team car. We're closing up to George Russell to pass him for the second time in this race. He's going to squeeze this on the inside, so we have to go to the left and try and get this round the outside. Russell, though, comes across on the racing line, gives a bit of a gap, though, to the inside there, and we're going to take that gap and go straight through it, squeeze him out. Russell comes back and it's a little bit on the exit curve, but we do ultimately get ahead into P11, and now we've got a whole gaggle of cars ahead of us. Schumacher, Leclerc, Albon, Ocon. Oh my God! Albon into the wall. It's a close shave for myself and Russell. Albono has come undone here in Vegas. Maybe a little bit of dirty air, I think, on the Alpine there, because I think he was going for a move, it looked like, and just kind of got a bit wayward. He's into the wall, and that is going to bring out our first safety car of the day. It's taken a long while. I would have hoped it would have come out sooner, but to be fair, it's been a pretty clean Grand Prix so far. Very much, you know, a distant memory are those other Las Vegas Grand Prix we had, right, remembering like season 1 in this game, where there are like 2 red flags in this race. It's been a very clean Las Vegas Grand Prix, but nonetheless, finally, we get a bit of luck on our side. The safety car comes out, that bunches up the grid and allows us to immediately overtake Schumacher on the restart. And now we can fight. Now we can actually recover properly here. And this can turn into a pretty decent result still if everything goes our way from now on. 6 laps to go in this race. On lap 19, we get the move done to repass Leclerc finally to get into a top 8. But we want more, and we can get more. This car's been a machine in a straight line, and now on the hard tyres, this entire second stint has been really good. We still hold the fast lap of the Grand Prix. We make the move on Ocon, but as we close up to Verstappen, we just back out of it because I wasn't sure about sticking my nose in, and we actually get brake checked a little bit by Ocon there. I had to slam on the brakes myself and instead wait for the right opportunity to make the double pass through the middle of the Alpine and the Ferrari. We make the pass. Ocon actually comes in because I think the contact he made there with the Ferrari caused him some front wing damage. As we see ahead of us, Lando Norris overtaking Piastri. The Red Bulls have come alive a little bit under this safety car period because it's Gasly from Fernando Alonso in second place, Lawson up to third, Lando Norris in P4 and Piastri down to P5, and by lap 22 it's actually Lawson, Piastri P4 and 5. The Red Bull Fords at the right time have come alive in this race to now be on a double podium podium. And speaking of doubles, we're trying to make the double pass on both McLarens, but they're still both there on the inside. And like with the move on Ocon and Verstappen, I'm just going to wait patiently for the right time to slither through both of them if we can. We're this time choosing the inside line to power pass and get up into P4. The McLaren race pace has disintegrated, and with 2 laps to go, if the 2 Red Bulls continue to fight like they were in the first stint, is there half a chance they could lose enough time for me to maybe get a last-minute podium, I wonder? Oh, Lando Norris! The Red Bull Ford goes up in smokes, and the Ford engine gives out in the worst race possible. The American manufacturer lets down Red Bull, lets down Lando Norris, and he's out of the Las Vegas Grand Prix on the second last lap of the race. And that means, I was speaking about maybe getting a podium if the 2 Red Bulls fought each other. Didn't need to. We're into 3rd place because of that failure. This is unbelievable. Remember, we were, what, like 5 seconds back from P21, stone dead last on lap 1, and we're sitting here now with just a lap and a bit to go in 3rd place. And that is why I say never in Formula 1, because we're even 1 second behind Alonso. We're going to have DRS on the Spaniard, or so I thought, because in towards the last lap of the Grand Prix, we've got another jammed gearbox. No, come on. We deserve this 3rd place. And just on the last lap, we're now stuck in 8th gear. And this time, there's no pit lane to help us. We're going to be a sitting duck now. The 2 McLarens, they've had such poor race pace in this second stint. But Piastri is going to get gifted 3rd place. Lawson nearly puts it in the wall because of the dirty air, I think, of my car. But eventually he's going to rock past because they've got no acceleration being stuck in 8th gear. And Lawson gets up into 4th. So just like that, we had some complete euphoria about maybe getting a podium, and it was quickly dashed away as we're going to have to settle for P5. But that's still bloody amazing. But what's even better is Pierre Gasly converts his 2nd pole position into his 1st race win of 2026. Lamborghini win in Formula 1, and it's with Pierre Gasly. Alonso, 2nd place for Red Bull Ford. Piastri in 3rd. We're going to come home in P5. But look at this battle for the last position of points, and maybe on the line, Daniel Ricciardo has ruined Audi's day. Carlos Sainz was on for P10, and Ricciardo's nicked it at the end. For us, still pretty insane. From last to P5. We'll take it.
And Las Vegas has its winner. And what a special victory that was. Taking the checkered flag under the neon lights of Nevada. Tell me, Ant, how do they manage to achieve this win?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs. And that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
Pierre Gasly very much justifying why it was a very good reason to keep him as a teammate. I'm telling you, honestly, Gasly on the F1 23 game here might go down currently as one of the quickest teammates I've had on the F1 games, period. This man is a machine. He's qualified so well consistently, and now he's got that 1st race win of the season. It's ominous. I need to actually pull up my socks. I really do, because if we do have a car that can genuinely give a driver's title fight, not just a constructor's fight, I need to be bridging that kind of gap. Of course, today, things didn't go my way. The jammed gearbox really hurt us. I feel like without that problem, we would have been fighting and probably having a 1-2 battle all race long with Pierre Gasly. But still, from stone dead last, 5 seconds off P21, to recover up to P5 is pretty incredible. Would have been even more insane if 3rd place, we could have solidified that, but the jam gearbox came back for a 3rd time. So that will definitely be the next development hurdle hurdle we try and tick off into next episode. But off the back of this Las Vegas Grand Prix, then Lawson still leads the way by 1 measly point to Fernando Alonso. Piastri, third place, 7 points back. And now Gasly throws his hat into the ring, 12 points off in fourth place. And we shoot up from last place into second place in the Constructors' Championship. It looks like once again it may be McLaren, ourselves, and Red Bull up in the top 3. But I still have some thoughts that I feel like with one kind of correct upgrade, I reckon Alpine could really get in the middle of it, or even maybe one of the other teams, Mercedes or Ferrari, you know, all very close in the R&D chart. It's so early on, only 2 rounds into the season. It's going to be too early to tell at the moment in time, but that has been a great, very eventful Las Vegas Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed it, guys, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.